Men's sexual health is a complicated issue.
That cum? Give me your cum!
It's like, yeah, we have our own sex-related problems to deal with, but we don't get very much support or resources. The public is generally more focused on helping women specifically, which is honestly understandable given the roles they typically find themselves in. But it is Men's Mental Health Month this month, so I thought it would be kinda nice to give some support for the boys. A lot of people say men are simple creatures, and while that's usually to refer to us being generally low maintenance, some people mistakenly attribute that to mean sex, and that's where the stereotype of the sex-loving caveman comes from.
I got your nose, I'll give it back if we have sex.
I mean, the fact is, men need just as much tender love and care as anyone else. So I will be approaching this topic with the understanding that sometimes sex is complicated. Still, I'd like for this to be a pretty laid-back video. We'll probably be running some gameplay in the background, so just kick back, relax, and enjoy some honest conversation. Let's begin with erectile dysfunction. My channel's main demographic is something like men aged 18 to 24, but we can't forget about the older guys. Don't get me wrong, ED is something that happens to pretty much everyone, but it is more common as you get older. What is ED exactly? Erectile dysfunction means not being able to get and keep an erection firm enough for sexual activity. It's also called impotence. 99% of the time, erections are automatic. You get aroused or just wake up normally and you get an erection. Waking up and getting an erection is called morning wood, but the other 1% of the time, you may have trouble getting it up. This can cause a lot of men to panic. If you experience ED or other erection-related issues, it's important to talk to your healthcare provider. Sometimes it's a random failed boner. Other times, it's a symptom of a larger problem that may require medication or even surgery to correct. As my source puts it, male sexual arousal is complex. It involves the brain, hormones, emotions, nerves, muscles, and blood vessels. Erectile dysfunction can result from a problem with any of these. Also, stress and mental health concerns can cause erectile dysfunction or make it worse. Sometimes the cause of erectile dysfunction is both physical and mental. For instance, a minor physical condition that slows your sexual response might cause worry about keeping an erection, and that anxiety can actually add to your ED. I think a lot of people forget that, yes, erections are generally automatic, but the brain is also involved, and consequently your mental state. During sex, you could lose your erection if you're just not feeling it. Depression, anxiety, stress, and emotional issues with your partner can manifest themselves in a soft penis. Other physical causes of ED include heart disease, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, metabolic syndrome, certain prescription medicines, smoking, drinking, drug use, poor sleep quality, Parkinson's, multiple sclerosis, and Peyronie's disease, which may cause pain during sex due to a bend in the penis. You can see why going to a doctor for ED is so important, because it can be a sign of something else. After hearing that exhaustive list, you probably want to avoid ED as much as possible, right? Here's what you can do. Work with your healthcare provider to manage your diabetes or heart disease, as these may be the cause. On top of that, get regular checkups and health screenings. Stop smoking, limit alcohol, and probably throw away that vape.
Whoa.
Get plenty of exercise, find ways to ease stress, and if your partner is causing emotional distress, you may need to have a conversation with them. Dealing with ED isn't easy due to its embarrassing nature, but it is totally possible. I think a lot of you guys will be able to connect with this one. With the onset of puberty, girls and boys often have to follow different norms about acceptable engagement in intimate and sexual relationships. Known as the sexual double standard, these norms expect girls to show modesty and maintain their purity, while boys are encouraged to engage in sexual activity to live up to masculine ideals. What I just laid out is still the reality that's really presented by the media, and it's easy to see why. For a lot of countries around the world, this is still true, where women are being married off. But for our generation, especially in America, I think it's more so that women have been successful in encouraging each other to break their own stereotype. Sometimes to the degree where it's irresponsible and dangerous, but that's not my call. While men, on the other hand, aren't having sex almost at all for a number of reasons. Some of these reasons are by choice, if you can call it choice. Fears of pregnancy and rampant misinformation have scared a lot of us away. A fear that was placed in us as a response to the caveman stereotype. So a lot of us just choose not to have sex. But for others, it's circumstantial. A lot of men are trying to have a healthy, flourishing sex life, but it feels like an impossible climb. Standards for men have generally risen across the board, which isn't a bad thing on its own. You know, in an ideal scenario, it does make sense to ask your partner to try to improve on emotional stability and cleanliness. Two things men don't have the best track record in to begin with. But we don't live in an ideal scenario, and oftentimes these higher standards are really just impossible standards. There's a lot of men who are desperately trying to get leg lengthening surgery, and it's sad to see the media spinning it as a new trend rather than the mental health crisis that it is. Social media has destroyed the dating scene on both sides. There's also a very real economic angle to this. The world economy is generally in the toilet right now. 30% of young adults are currently living with their parents due to the astronomically high prices for living spaces. And it's not just the rent that's high. Listen to this. My rent right now is $200 a month. Insanely low. And I'm still barely breaking even on a shoestring budget. My groceries are down to $40 to $45 a week, and that's still too much. It's rough out here, man. A large chunk of men don't have a place of their own, which isn't a great look when you're trying to date. Even if a guy is lucky enough to afford his own place, and he's got a steady partner, the stereotype of the toxic man whore is still there. The worst part about it is it's often enforced by other guys. The call is coming from inside the house, okay? There's a certain expectation that in order to be accepted, you need to be sleeping with a different girl every weekend, like you're some college kid. And if you're not, then you're not living. At the end of the day, everyone has a style of meeting people and dating that works for them. Some people do legitimately benefit from going out and, well, you can call it sleeping around. If that works for you, then go ahead, I'm not your mom. But I will bet that, given the choice, most of us would rather spend time building one very close relationship than experience 10 emotionless hookups. All of this while being told that condoms are lame, caring about your sexual health is lame, and describing sex as penetration and nothing else. Which, believe me, we'll get to. Because the ideals of that purity culture were forced on us, I think we're trying to overcorrect for it. And now, a lot of people generally expect men to have low standards themselves, which introduces STIs and a lack of condom use. I know I'm throwing a lot at you, but this really boils down to men lacking the experience and lacking the educational support of sex-related matters. All we really have to go off of is what the boys tell us they did last night. Also, porn, which isn't the best primary source to learn how to have a healthy sex life. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Your sex life can be so much more fulfilling if you're willing to mix things up. If you want to improve your knowledge and skill of bedroom activities, this tutorial is for you. We all love a good thrust mode engaged from time to time, but to describe sex as penetration is kind of missing the point. Do you eat chocolate cake for dinner every night? Of course not. I mean, it's delicious, but it's better served as a dessert after you've had the main course. Real sex usually begins with foreplay. Touching, kissing, undressing, oral sex. Take your time and build up to that climax. There are so many benefits to starting with a lengthy foreplay. For men with penis size insecurities, you're no longer putting focus on the penis. Maybe you're built smaller, but you're really good with your hands. That's gonna do a lot more for you than just a big dick, trust me. But the greatest benefit of all, it's going to match the timing of your orgasms. If you're having straight sex, the orgasm gap is what usually gets in the way. Men are trying to hold back their pleasure, while women have to work harder to get to it. If she's warmed up beforehand, she's going to get there closer to when you get there, perhaps even at the same time.
You close?
It's just a smarter way of going about it. Now, maybe you're with someone who does orgasm from penetration alone, about 18% of women. But for 36% of women, stimulation of the clitoris is necessary. The clitoris. You might say, I've heard of that word, but I've just assumed it's like the G-spot, where it's somewhere inside all that mess. How do I actually know where it is? To demonstrate, I'd like to present to you the Pokemon known as Cloyster.
Is that okay to show?
I don't know. I guess we'll see.
This is the overall structure of the cloister, and the area you want to hit is right about there. This is where a lot of the nerve fibers are located, and it's the spot that's going to provide the most stimulation. You could also try the start-stop technique, colloquially known as edging. You ramp up to the point of orgasm, then pull back. This method trains the body to hold off ejaculation for as long as possible. It also provides a euphoric sensation when you actually do release. You may also want to manage your anxiety and stress. This can be hard to do given what year it is, but you'll want to try in order to improve your sex life. Focus more on the sensations of sex rather than the performance. Eat something healthy right before sex rather than junk food. Improve your communication during intercourse. A lot of people see talking during sex as kind of a weird taboo, but it just makes sense to slow down and ask the other person what makes them feel comfortable and aroused. You don't have to go with the generic sexual script where you thrust in with no plan. There's a lot of stuff you can try. And with that, I'm calling all men to participate in the No Penis Challenge. For single men currently in an active sexual relationship, let's do a challenge where you're not allowed to use your penis. Bring your partner to climax without using your dick at all. You're gonna need a lot of skills in your arsenal, touching the correct sensitive areas, oral sex, outer course, which is where you grind on each other with no penetration whatsoever, fingering, or just plain old making out. Get your partner to finish without ever taking your pants off. It's not impossible. This challenge is not only a fun test, but it also destroys the dick size insecurity. You think you need a big dick to have great sex? Try not having a dick at all. It can be done. What if I'm not in a relationship at the moment? Can I still participate? Yes. For all the single guys out there, you have the no hands challenge. That's right. Bring yourself to climax without using your hands. It's way harder than you think.
Say that again?
It also opens the door to creative tactics. You could use certain sounds to stimulate your mind, or maybe a certain smell, light touching of other areas of your body. It's a real challenge that makes a lonely activity fun again, trust me. I hope something in this video gave you an idea of how to improve your sexual health. Men's sexual health and wellness often gets overlooked, and focusing on it doesn't lessen the importance of women's sexual health and safety either. We can have both. So, let me know in the comments what other videos you'd like to see from this channel. I've got some ideas. Maybe videos on nipple types, sexual OCD, an hour of sex facts to fall asleep to. There's a lot we can do here, so let me know what you'd want to see. We also have a Patreon if you'd like to support me over there, and an ongoing contest where you can make your own candles or Corretta OC. So, thank you so much for watching. I love you all. Good night.